Oh, okay. What do you call a dinosaur with an extensive vocabulary? A thesaurus. Okay. How do you shoot a killer bee? With a BB gun. Okay, are you ready for this one? Okay, not this one yet.
Are you ready? What did the baby corn say to the mama corn?
Where's popcorn?
Where's mama corn?
Okay. How do you make holy water? Boil the hell out of it. Laugh at this. Next is Jeannie. Yes, it is Jeannie.
No, say Janie.
Oh. With more of her poems. Right? Did you? Okay. This song. Oh.
Dance, Jeannie, dance.
Dance it. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge.
He does look like a judge.
I don't know this. Do you know that song, Your Mama Don't Dance and Your Daddy
Don't rock and roll.
This was me once upon a time.
You need to pass that around later.
Little picture. All right.
Jeannie's gold, what's it called? Gems. I knew it was like worth it.
All right. This is called I Was a Good Kid. I was a good kid. I was a good kid. I got into trouble every time I turned around. I was in trouble from the time the sun came up till the sun went down. But I was a good kid. I was in trouble, it seemed, no matter what I did. Sometimes it wasn't what I did, but what I didn't do. Trouble to me was not something new, but I was a good kid. My grades were a real test, but as far as I knew, I did my very best. I tried hard both day and night to obey my parents and do what was right, although I seemed to have been in trouble again and again. And whatever I did, I just couldn't seem to win, but I was a good kid. Granted, I was not perfect and not without sin, but I plead with you again, I was a good kid. Now I've grown, and I'm a good kid of my very own, and it's easy to see that she's a good kid just like me.
Another one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one more? Okay.
Yeah.
This one's called The Stick.
I love that one.
It's one of my daughter's favorite ones. There was a wealthy man. He owned lots of land. There was a lot of cattle, grass, water, and trees. I was a stick on a branch, blooming where I was planted. And when you're a stick on a tree, blooming where you're planted, you're not called a stick because you're part of a branch. You might be called a stem. The reason I'm called a stick and not a stem is because one tragic day I fell. You see, a storm came and knocked me plumb off the tree that I was connected to. A sad day indeed. What was I to do? Where I come from, sticks get stepped on and not looked up to. They get broken, and worse yet, they are thrown into a fire and burned. I didn't want to die, get stepped on, broken, or burned. What was I to do? I began to pray, God, I'm yours. If you can still use me in some kind of way, you created me to bear fruit, but now I'm broken and I have no root. So please hear my cry, so please use me one more time before I die. God heard me, and with tenderness and care, he answered my prayer. Along came Jacob, a young lad, who picked me up and made me glad. I call him a young lad because he was much younger than me, because I'm almost as old as a tree. You might say he was a young man, and upon him was God's hand. Jacob began to cut away some of my parts. I began to look stripped. It broke my heart. I felt such shame. Being bare, yet I knew I'd never be the same. The cattle that came to get a drink or eat a bite or two, they would look at me and stare. Oh, the shame of being planted there, especially for all to see, a broken branch, a stick like me. Cut off, cut on, wounded and hurting inside. Oh, how I wanted to hide. Had God forsaken me? As time went on, I got to see the fruit of my labors and how He'd chosen me. The cattle all had babies, and they bore the spots and stripes just like me. Fruit at last I was able to bear, different than I'd expected, but God heard and answered my prayer.